I really want to talk about what I started to call anxiety bombs, because in life, you might go through like a sequence of events that really raise up your like sympathetic arousal and just like your fight or flight and anxiety. And it really ends up affecting your habits and your behaviors and your thoughts for the rest of the oncoming weeks. For me, it's really important to learn how to get back to like a certain baseline, because if you're not aware of what's happening, if you're not aware of how one weekend can affect the next several months, you'll end up like operating off of a really heightened baseline, not understanding that this one event, maybe several weeks back, has caused you an increase in anxiety for the next several months. And I think it's always important to become aware of that, because you can get your baseline back to a calmer state. You just have to become very aware of your mind and body and start giving yourself what you need. So for example, I had very like exciting weekends. Like the past several weekends, I was seeing old friends, I was hanging out with people, I was going out a lot, I was drinking, I was smoking, and I wasn't sleeping. I was also drinking caffeine the next day. And all of these things are stimulants. So like at first it feels really great. And then when everything dies down, when your friends leave, when you're not partying, when you're back to like daily activity, you start seeking for more dopamine, because after several weekends or a big weekend of a lot of like going out and a lot of stimulants, a lot of like drugs, alcohol, your mind will keep seeking for that same feeling in your everyday life. So like I was back to my normal week, going to work, coming home, having to like take care of myself and do my chores. But I found myself reaching for my phone a lot more. I found myself going to smoke cigarettes a lot more. I found myself needing to drink a bunch of caffeine to start my day, because I would wake up and I would feel a really low mood, and my mind and body, because of the past weekend I had, has gotten oriented to expecting a certain feeling. It's expecting a certain feeling of excitement and dopamine that maybe the slowness of life doesn't automatically give me, because your mind and body, when it's given something like in a lot of something, especially for like a couple weekends, it will obviously begin trying to seek out the same stimulation in your everyday life. And that's what happens when you get that feeling of like, oh, like where's the next hit? Like always like checking your phone, your social media, maybe like looking for more ways to stimulate yourself because of that one weekend you had. Or if you went through like a really like anxious, tumultuous, how do you say it? Tumultuous weekend, your mind and body are going to keep being oriented to that like high sympathetic arousal. So I was like, how do I get myself back to a baseline state of calmness? Because everybody functions on a certain baseline. It's just so embedded in your everyday life that you literally don't even notice that it was curated over time. So this baseline that's created, it's not created just out of one day, one habit, 1 week. It's created by several days and like several weeks of certain emotions and physiological states and certain habits you're picking up through those weeks. It creates a certain sense of self, a certain sense of expectations, and what you are hoping to get out of your day. Like, what are you expecting? What feelings are you expecting? So that's why when you have a weekend filled with, let's say, anxiety because maybe something bad happened, maybe you really were worried about something, just because that got solved and maybe like whatever you're anxious about got like resolved, you still feel anxious throughout the days and the next weeks. That's because I call them like anxiety bombs. So like when you're not regulating yourself after an anxiety bomb, you start to perpetuate like that same feeling of worry, same feeling of catastrophizing, and this like negative pattern of thinking. And it's really body based. So what happens is like when you're in that state of anxiety, like what do you go to regulate? And that's either gonna heighten it or it can help it. So like, for example, like me, I've had this like habit of like smoking when I'm stressed. So whatever you do when you're dysregulated, your mind and body will latch onto that. Like the period of like dysregulation, whenever you're stressed out, frustrated, upset, is a very critical period on what you do next, because that does set the tone for the baseline you will create and for the expectations your mind and body will hold for the feelings it wants to feel. And similarly, sometimes it's not like anxiety that, sets off a baseline. It's like stimulation. So like I said, excitement, seeing friends, partying, alcohol, drugs. Maybe you started to use social media that weekend because you were with your friends and you were posting. Like all of those things are stimulation. So whether that's like excitatory or anxiety, it's still like heightened stimulation. So even when things start to die down, your mind and body have been oriented to a certain new baseline because you've been engaging in like excitatory behaviors. Your body has been more stimulated. Things have been happening. So now your mind and body are gonna start expecting that same feeling. And as I've seen with myself, is after the past couple weekends of lack of sleep, going out with friends, partying, drinking cigarettes, and being on my phone, even when everything died down and my friends left, my mind was still oriented to seeking out that dopamine. And like you'll feel it. It's like that feeling of like, why do I keep checking my phone when I know there's nothing on there? Your mind is searching for a certain feeling that it had gotten in the past several days, but now doesn't have access to. And it's not logical, like you can't just be like, okay, like, let me get off my phone. Like it's a physiological state that is primed into being. So what people usually do is they shame themselves. They're like, oh, like I'm too addicted to my phone, like let me just delete the app, or like, oh my God, like let me just throw out all my cigarettes and start going to the gym every day. I equate that to treating the symptom and not the root, because when you're living life that way, you're kind of like performing healing. You're not actually understanding how the human mind and body are oriented and how they pick up patterns. It's a very slow, quiet process. And I think more people need to give themselves grace, because like me, like I definitely used to swing. Like I'd be like super partying, and then I'd be like, oh, I have to make up for like the unhealthy weekend I had. So let me go to the gym every day and like quit all this stuff. Like your mind and body aren't like fast at changing little habits you've already created, especially if you've had like several weeks of like high stimulation or high anxiety. You're gonna have to work your way back to like a calmer baseline. For example, like meditating for one day isn't gonna make you like a Zen fucking person. You're gonna have to do it regularly, even in moments that don't really call for it. Like let's say you're not anxious, like maybe you don't need to sit down and calm your mind, but meditation doesn't work in one day. It's like a repetitive practice, and something that if you use at like lesser anxiety moments, you are able to then keep using it for when you are feeling really anxious. If you're feeling really anxious and you've never meditated in your life, and you try to meditate at that point of like you're about to break, it's not gonna feel that easy, because gaining like orientation to a certain practice takes many like reps to do it, especially like low stakes reps. You don't just do it when shit is hitting the fan. You gotta orient yourself to it on a daily basis in certain small moments. So for me, what I started to do to orient myself back to a calmer baseline is I knew that you have to start with the body first. So like I was already like dopamine seeking. Like I had really tumultuous. I had really like chaotic weekends, and I could feel my mind and body like constantly looking for more stimulation. And that's not like anyone's like, you can't control for the things that happen in your life. Like I don't try to like be like zen all the time. Like that's not the human experience. The human experience is everything. And I think the most important thing is being able to integrate everything. So I had very chaotic weekends, and I could feel myself like constantly looking for stimulation. I could feel myself trying to get out of the slowness of the day, when usually I was very okay with being present. I was very okay with not checking my phone. I wasn't looking for cigarettes all the time. I wasn't looking for something to take me out of the present moment or something to give me excitement, because for a while my physiological baseline was okay with more of like a parasympathetic state, like so calmness, slowness, moment to moment orientation to life. And I was like, okay, how do I get back there? And it's not, let me fucking throw out my cigarettes, let me delete social media, and let me go to the gym every day. I think that's a very superficial way to look at it. Like again, like that's looking at the symptom, that's not looking at the root. So I decided to start changing things. What I first started to try to change is like caffeine intake. So like caffeine is obviously, it's a stimulant. It's gonna get your body at like a sympathetic baseline, but I'm not trying to cut things out. I'm just trying to lower the amount. So I would lower the amount, or I would make sure that I was eating before I went to go get my matcha, so that I knew that at least I had food in my stomach, because food makes a huge fucking difference. Your like nourishment makes a huge difference to your like body's baseline. So I was like making sure to eat before I drink my matcha. And I did find like when I was like smoking, I was like, okay, I won't smoke. And then I was like, okay, then I need matcha. Okay, no matcha. Then I need to check my phone. Okay, don't check my phone. Okay, then I need to smoke. It was literally that rotation for the past couple of days. Was like, I can feel my mind and my body doing whatever it can like to like grasp onto any sort of stimulant. And that's why I say like it's really important to not shit on yourself, like not to like get down on yourself when you're almost like failing to just be zen and meditate and like orient yourself to the present moment, because again, that's not how the mind and body are like designed. Like the mind and body are primed over time. So definitely I have learned to give myself grace during this process of trying to get back to a calmer baseline. So like I said, I came into this knowing that it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult because my body and my mind have been primed to like a higher level of stimulation. So I change small things. So like I would eat before drinking caffeine. When I would wake up, I don't look at my phone. And that's something that like I've already implemented very well, like normally on a day-to-day. So I just knew that I could do it again. It would be a little bit more difficult, but it's a practice that I've already like implemented on my day-to-day normal like living. So I knew that I just had to hone in on it a little bit more. And then I made sure to like journal in the morning. And journaling in the morning is something that I did religiously for a very, very long time, until I kind of let loose and let myself like not need to orient to journaling every single morning, because when things become a rule for me, like it becomes redundant. Like now I'm just performing self-growth. I'm not actually being in it. And sometimes like something that you have done like helps, and then you can let go of it for a little bit, and then you can utilize it again when you need it. So like I was journaling in the morning every single fucking day for months. I would not look at my phone, and I would journal very specific things. Over time, I was able to kind of let go of that habit and just do something else in the morning. But again, I still would never look at my phone. So these days, when I saw that my need for stimulation was a lot higher than normal because my baseline was really like at a sympathetic level, I was like, time to bring back the tool that I used a while ago, the tool that really grounded me. And I'll tell you like specifically what I journal. So in the morning when I wake up, I don't touch my phone. I don't look at anything on my phone, even like, especially not social media, but like there are days where like I won't even like, I won't tap on it. Like I won't look at the messages. And I actually bought, what's it called? Like a physical alarm, so I don't even have to look at my phone to see what time it is. So I won't look at my phone, and the first thing I'll do is grab my journal. I'll write what my default mode network feels like. So like, I think of the default mode network, I can be completely wrong, but I think of the default mode network as like the inner monologue that's constantly narrating your life. You will find it as like the thing that you can't shut off. It's constantly like looking and narrating and comparing it to yourself and the story of you. So when you wake up in the morning, it might already be talking. It might already be telling you what you need to do, who you are, what your insecurities are, and what you're supposed to feel that day. So I wake up in the morning and I observe it. What does it feel like? Is it like chatty? Is it quiet? Does it have a voice? Is there no voice? Because for a really long time, mine came like audibly, like an inner monologue that sounds like me. I did go through a really weird experience that shut off the voice, so I don't hear it, but there's thoughts. And I like will write down like, you know, my default mode network, it's invisible, like I can't really hear it, but I can notice the thoughts, and it's chatty, it's talking a lot. Then I write down what are my first thoughts of the day, like what is that inner monologue telling me right now when I wake up? Who is it telling me I am? What is it telling me I have to do? And what is it like worried about? Because sometimes you'll wake up and it's running the same program from yesterday, so it's really good to try to like observe it. So I write that down, like the first thoughts that I wake up with. And then I write down, what does my body feel like? Does my body feel tense? Does my body feel relaxed? What does my head feel like? What does my throat feel like? What is my breath like? Is my breath deep or is it shallow? So you're building orientation to your body's like, what's it called? Like physical like sensations. And then I'll write down what emotions I woke up with, like what energy level, what emotions did I already wake up with? Like, did I wake up feeling sad? Did I wake up feeling neutral? Did I wake up feeling tired? Did I wake up feeling like a lot of energy or really low energy? And then I write down with my left hand, what do I want to feel that day? So that's already gonna orient your mind to something new. Sometimes what I used to write as well are my dreams. That's not something that like I do all the time, but definitely when I was doing this religiously, I would write down my dreams every time when I woke up. It just shows you the unconscious things that your psyche is processing. But anyway, this is just what I journal in the morning. And it's basically, for me, it's really attacking the root. So like I said, whenever you're feeling anxious or whenever you're looking for dopamine, people treat the symptom. They treat the fact that you're reaching for your phone or that you're getting anxious thoughts. They tell you to like build more confidence, like say affirmations, delete social media. Like, I think things like that are all just treating the symptom. And for me, what I find myself doing is treating the root. So like when you wake up in the morning and you're writing all these things about yourself down, you are beginning to become aware of yourself in the third person, and you're beginning to understand that that anxiety state that you're living in, that dopamine seeking behavior, all comes down to certain physiological attributes and certain thoughts you're thinking of as soon as you wake up. So if you can just use the morning to observe it, I'm not saying that this like is gonna heal it, but the observing it every day and becoming aware of it, not just as an experience, but something that you can see that is being cultivated every single day, definitely helps you reorient yourself and begin to build new neural pathways so that you can change the feeling of every day a little bit slowly. In addition to that, what do people usually do when they wake up? They start scrolling on their phone, which feeds the dopamine seeking behavior, which feeds the same anxious thought loops and feelings every single day. So what I'm trying to do when I journal in the morning is I create that separation from my immediate habits. Like, let's not go on the phone. Let me sit here and just observe what my mind is being oriented to as soon as I wake up. Let me observe it. And do I want to live that reality today? And if I don't, what do I want to feel? And even alongside that, just by journaling in the morning instead of going on your phone, you're getting your mind and body used to slowness, because your mind and body might not like that in the beginning. Your mind and body, the urge to reach your phone is not just logical, it's physiological. Like, you will feel the urge to pick up your phone and click on social media. So when you are journaling or spending any moment with yourself with no music, like, I will purposefully have no music, no stimulation, and just journal, like, immediately upon waking up, these factors about myself. And even if you don't want to journal, just sit there. Like, if journaling is too much, or like you don't even have the energy to do that, I would encourage you to just, when you wake up, just sit there for 10 minutes. You're gonna feel the urge to do something. You're gonna feel the urge to check your phone. You're gonna feel the urge to get to all of life's responsibilities. Sit there with that urge and be in it, and teach yourself that you can feel these urges and not act on it. That is going to start decreasing your baseline from very high sympathetic arousal to like a more parasympathetic when you wake up. Because like I said, when you're already like activated and you're very stimulated already from like really chaotic weekends, drugs, alcohol, social media, your mind is going to expect the same excitement every fucking morning when you wake up. And if you don't get that same stimulation, you either feel behind, you feel restless, and then you start to not enjoy the slowness of life. You start to feel like you're not doing enough, or like you start like feeling like you're chasing life. But it's all just an illusion that's very, very well created by your mind and body's like synchronization to that story. So just by waking up and taking time to literally be no one, literally sit there and notice that your mind is going to be telling you who you are that day. Your mind's going to be telling you all your anxieties. Your mind's going to be telling you your insecurities and all the problems in your life. Sit there and notice it. Just sit there, feel it. And then the next thing I like to do is do one thing that feels like me. So before I go on my phone, I try to implement this practice where I do one thing that feels like me before I get on my phone, or especially social media. Like, maybe I'll check my messages, but social media, I won't check unless I have done one thing that feels like me. Whether that's jujitsu, drawing, filming like an episode, cooking myself a meal, it's subjective. It's like subjective to the person. Whatever feels like you, do that first, and then you can look at your phone. Because what that's doing is it's breaking any thought loop that isn't favorable for you. So like, you have reoccurring thought loops every single day that guide your life implicitly. And the worst thing you can ever do for yourself is go on social media right when you wake up. And I'm just speaking from experience. That never did me any good to go on social media right when I wake up. It created a thought loop of insecurity. It created a feeling of feeling behind, and it actually made me lose connection to myself, my creativity, and my thoughts. And I'm not saying to delete social media. I'm saying to utilize it in a way that's favorable to your mind and body. So when you do something that feels like you before you go on social media, I believe you're accessing free will. I believe you're accessing your own thoughts, your own creativity, and you're proving to yourself that life still moves even when it's not online. And again, that's still gonna start orienting you to like less stimulated baseline. You're gonna start to be able to calm your mind, calm your body in the morning, which sets the tone for the rest of your day. Another thing I started to do to be able to get my baseline from sympathetic, like dominantly, to parasympathetic is you're gonna have to start replacing what you're getting your stimulation from. So like I said, you can't go from alcohol and cigarettes to fucking meditating every day. Like, you're gonna feel like you're performing. You're gonna be performing self-growth. Like, your mind and body take time to orient to a different baseline. So you don't take away the stimulation, you replace it with something else. I think even like addiction and drug facilities and psychology teach this, like, you replace the drug. Like, you don't just take it away. You need to give your mind something else to hold on to. So, like I said, life's been really chaotic. I started smoking cigarettes a lot more. Okay, how do I get myself to not reach for a cigarette when I'm needing that stimulation when I wake up in the day? Like, how do I not need the cigarette to feel like I'm trying to reach us? Because whenever you're reaching for things like cigarettes or like alcohol, weed, social media, caffeine, it's because your mind and body are oriented to feeling a certain emotion and a certain physiological state at a certain time of the day. So when you don't give yourself that thing, you'll find that your mood gets lower, you get more frustrated, you feel more dysregulated, and you feel more antsy. So the solution is not to just take it away in the name of being healthy. The solution is to replace it with something else. So, for example, in the morning, like I said, my mind and body are expecting a certain amount of stimulation to feel motivated because I had already been getting so much stimulation every weekend from parties, drugs, and people. So now that I don't have that, my body and mind are still looking for it every morning. So it was looking for it on my phone, it was looking for it in caffeine and cigarettes. So what I did was trying to replace it. Instead of going for the cigarette, let me go for a run. I'm gonna go for a run because what that's gonna do, it's gonna give you the same dopamine feeling, but it's gonna give it to you in a different way. So instead of getting it from a cigarette, you're gonna get it from exercise. And when you are offering yourself replacements, don't get stuck in like perfectionism, because for me, I found this is what I did. I would have these chaotic weekends, smoke, drink, party, have fun. And then when I wanted to like kind of implement healthier habits, I found my mind being like, dude, like, just forget it. You're already like smoking cigarettes. Like, you might as well smoke another one, and like, don't even go on a run. Like, don't go to jujitsu. Like, your stamina is gonna be super low. Like, you might as well just, finish the week off with like the cigarettes and stuff, and then next week, then try again, because this week, like, you've already like ruined like the flow. That's all an illusion, rule-based being. I find that the ego mind will try to implement these rules to make you think that life has to fit a structured, picture perfect way for you to do it, when in reality, girl, you can just go fucking run. Don't care about the stamina. Don't care that even if you just smoked cigarettes, like, and you realize in this moment, maybe I don't want to do this, like maybe I should go exercise. Don't let the feeling of like, oh, I've already ruined like the flow, like I'm not even gonna do good exercising, like I'm hungover, my stamina is low, I didn't eat this morning. Like, don't let that stop you from just taking the first step and doing the better replacement, because you'll find that like sometimes your mind will be like, oh, like, but you didn't eat breakfast yet, so don't exercise, or like your stamina is really low, so maybe like don't do that workout because you might not do it well. Like, your mind's so fixated on performance and the way things look, and I want you to start orienting yourself to the way you feel. Don't double think on why you should do something or what you're supposed to do. Just understand these vices need a replacement. You need to replace the little like addictions you have that you're regulating with something else. Don't think about the time. Don't think about the fact that you haven't eaten yet, or like you didn't stretch yet. Because I find myself, I'm like, wait, I have to do my stretches first. No. Your mind and body are needing a replacement for the vices that you've developed. Give it what it needs. I went to go run. I didn't waste time thinking about the fact that I, was already smoking cigarettes yesterday. I didn't waste time with the fact that like I knew my stamina was gonna be really low. I didn't waste time thinking that I had to eat a perfectly balanced breakfast and then stretch before I ran. Like, all of that is perpetuating some illusion of performance, of self-growth, and I think it's really easy to get stuck there. So like I said, I replaced like the stimulation I would have usually gotten with cigarette or caffeine with running. It was a really amazing feeling. I could feel my body getting the same level of dopamine, but of course, yeah, you have to work for it a little bit more. I realized that Your mind, when it's given two options and both of the options give you the same feeling, what your mind is gonna go for is the easiest option. It will rather smoke a pack of cigarettes than go on a run because it's fastest, quickest, and most comfortable decision to make. And I find that like being able to understand that, I could kind of like empathize with myself, empathize with the fact that I've been like hanging on to these vices, because your mind naturally is oriented to the easiest thing that's gonna give you that state change. So instead of giving yourself a balanced breakfast, it's gonna go get a matcha. So it's normal that the mind and body function that way. And just by understanding it, you're able to break the pattern a little bit more. So I went on a run, and after I ran, after I ate breakfast, I then got a matcha. I didn't erase caffeine. I just got a small, then a large. I used to get a large. So doing these small changes every single day, I think, is the way you change your baseline from a stimulated baseline to a more like parasympathetic, like dominant baseline. And you'll find that, so your thoughts are state dependent. Whatever your baseline is at most of the time, your thoughts and actions match that baseline. Whenever you feel differently, you get different thoughts. So in that way, I want you to understand your mind as like a match system. Your inner monologue, your ego mind are feeding you thoughts based upon what it's expecting, assuming, and what your body is feeling that morning. So if you can understand that, you can see that like as soon as your body changes, as soon as you exercise, as soon as you do something that lights you up instead of going on your phone, your thoughts about yourself and your life change. It's very fluctuating. That's why I say your reality is really not the external, it's the internal world you're constantly living in every single day. So once you get a grip on your physiological state and in your body, you'll start that your mind and your thoughts become nicer. Essentially, I think it's really important to understand your life in this context, because if you don't understand your life in this fluctuation way, what usually happens is that people go through really stimulating weekends and then they don't understand that their physiological baseline has changed. They begin to carry on that anxiety and that high stimulation to their everyday lives without changing it back to a calmer baseline. They start labeling themselves as anxious, and it becomes a full-blown identity and thought loop and body-based and emotion loop that started from just one event, just one weekend. But if you don't get a grip on what's going on in your mind and body, the narrative and body-based emotions will draw it out for longer periods of time, to the point where you start identifying with that state, with that self, and with that life. It's very easy to let one event completely change your perception of the world. And that's why I find it really important to understand that your life and who you believe you are and your orientation to the world is very, very connected to the baseline you're at every day. And you get to choose your baseline. Yeah, it's not gonna be a logical decision, but if you understand the physiological state you want to predominantly be at, if you understand the mental space you would like to predominantly be at, if you understand that that's what you want, even if you're not there right now, you can teach your mind and body to get yourself there through food, through what you use to regulate, and what you do when you wake up and when you go to sleep. I think this really ties into the process of neuroplasticity. We see neuroplasticity a lot with like motor and sensory functions, but I think neuroplasticity also has a lot to do with our thoughts, emotions, and physiological states that our mind and body are primed to feel every single day. And basically, when you wake up in the morning and you go to sleep, whenever you change what you do in those moments, it's really setting your day up differently. It's setting the tone for the day differently. It's setting you up for a different version of you. It might not shift in one day, But with little changes in those critical moments when you wake up and when you go to sleep, you'll find that every single day you'll be able to orient yourself to a more favorable baseline. Along with that is food. I think, for example, tea. I drink a lot of chamomile tea on purpose because I'm trying to prime my body to feel calmer and to feel that as the new normal. Just like someone who smokes cigarettes every day, they are priming their body for their new normal to be very stimulated. Again, there's not a wrong or right, there just are action and consequences. I'm not fully fucking zen and never smoke a cigarette. I don't only meditate and drink tea, but I understand what each subject does to my body, and I utilize things purposefully to get myself to certain states. I think nourishing yourself, especially with certain types of foods, can create a really, really big shift in your physiological state, especially like things like caffeine and stuff. Any stimulation you're getting from caffeine and smoking, and even like snacks, like foods, like Doritos and stuff, all affect your physiological state and your baseline at the end of the day. Again, this is not me saying that you gotta be on some fucking health kick or anything. It's just the reality. It's just the way your mind, body, and like gut process the things you're intaking. So as long as you're mindful and are aware, you can start controlling things in a more like healthier way, or use things mindfully. Another thing I usually do to get my baseline from highly stimulated to more like a parasympathetic, lower stimulation state is I will not post on Instagram. Like, I won't post anything because I only like to post when I'm feeling fulfilled, when I'm feeling gratitude or feeling at a calmer state. Because when you post to get rid of that restlessness and that urgency, you're just creating a path for needing more stimulation, because what you do when you post is you check for likes and you check for comments, and that can affect your thoughts. It affects your perception of self. And I think it's you trying to find the fastest way to a state change. But posting on social media when you're really dysregulated or highly stimulated, like anxious and worried and restless, I think is very counterproductive for your mind and body. I really try to stay away from watching social media or posting on social media whenever I'm really, really highly stimulated. And that's the biggest thing. Like, you have to just become aware, because whenever you're really highly stimulated or very anxious, the first thing your mind and body will grab are the easiest sources of stimulation, which is social media, weed, smoking, alcohol, or parties, like social dynamics. It's gonna try to find and reach for the easiest things for you, but you'll find that all of that actually makes you even more restless, more anxious, and more insecure. Which is why I started to implement the other habits. Like I said, waking up in the morning, don't grab my phone, journal, or just have any moment of solitude. I explained this to somebody else recently. Life will always call for your attention. Your job, your friends, your relationships, your hobbies, even social media. Everything in life is pulling you at so many different directions, and you deserve to have no pressure for at least one moment of the day. You deserve to feel like you have no responsibilities, no priorities for at least one moment of the day. You deserve to step out of the character of you for at least one moment of the day. And that's why the morning is so special to me, and almost like it can become like a ritual just for yourself. Like, use your morning to be no one. Use your morning to step outside of yourself and really view yourself in a third person perspective. Do I want to live this life? What do I feel? What am I expecting to happen today? What do I actually want in life? Who do I actually want to become? Use your morning to let every single responsibility that life is constantly trying to get you to do, let that just go. Use your morning to pray, to meditate, to take moments in solitude. It doesn't even have to be done right. Like, I think a lot of people, when they hear like, oh, I use my morning to meditate, like, it's hard, like, it's difficult. Like, we live in a very noisy world. So like, meditation, I don't think it's something that you do. I think it's a state that you enter. And you enter it by creating awareness, like metacognitive awareness, slowly over time. So just in the morning, just by observing your thoughts. I'm not even fucking telling you to try to shut them off. Like, no, just observe it. Just watch how your mind will run in the morning. Feel that urgency of you wanting to check your phone. All of that is, I think, a very good ritual of like knowing that you can feel certain emotions, feel certain insecurities, feel certain urges, and still not answer to them. Still watch it in third person perspective so that you can begin noticing instead of becoming it immediately, because that's what happens when you wake up in the morning, you go on your phone and you do the same thing every single day. You are not letting yourself separate from the thought loop, from that emotion loop, just enough to even change anything. So that's why, if you take anything from this, you should have one moment of the day. For me, it's the morning, where you let every single priority, responsibility, and obligation go, because you deserve that. Every human deserves to feel some sort of peace in this noisy ass world. And that's the practice I try to implement every day to give myself that peace, to honor the fact that I'm a human, I have free will, and I don't need to answer to the world right now. So like I said, things like lowering your caffeine, lowering stimulation from cigarettes and alcohol, and very, very chaotic relationships and friendships. When you start to regulate through those things, you start to shift your baseline from very high stimulation to like lower stimulation. Your mind and body start to be okay with stillness and slowness of life, because the reality is life is built up from very, 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 very small, quiet moments. Life is not all the exciting moments that click. I call them the moments that click, that when you get what you want, when you talk to that person, when you get that opportunity, when you achieve that thing, when like things feel like they're happening. Life doesn't always feel like that every day. Life is mostly made up by the smallest, quietest moments all on your own. And the whole point of trying to get your body back to the parasympathetic baseline is so that you can become okay with your present reality, with the moment, with what your life is right now. Because what happens is, if you're not okay with that, that's why we have dopamine seeking behavior a lot, like constantly scrolling, constantly checking social media, and constantly using all of these stimulations to get away from the present moment, because we're not used to the slowness of life. And the reality is that life is built up of many, many, many tiny moments. They're not only the exciting moments. The tiny moments are what make up those moments that, like I said, click. And I think what's very important for mind and body health is to learn how to be okay with the present moment. And all of these tactics I've mentioned, I believe they are attacking the root. So attacking the symptom is like me telling you, stop scrolling. Scrolling is bad. Delete Instagram. That is assessing the symptom. I'm trying to assess the root. What do you do when you wake up? Take a moment to yourself. Instead of drinking caffeine, eat before you take any caffeine. Instead of smoking by yourself, maybe only smoke when you're being social. Try whatever you can do to lower certain stimulants, like physiological stimulants. The physiological stimulants make a very, very big difference, because your mind follows your body's feeling. If you can implement certain things that calm your body, like exercise, stillness, teas that calm your body, eating before caffeine, those things are approaching the root to a really, really exacerbated problem. The problem of scrolling and insecure thoughts and anxiety, those are all like symptoms after all of the baseline shifts have already integrated into that like anxious physiological state. So if we can get down to the root of the physiological state and our urges and the feelings we feel when we wake up and our emotions, and orienting ourselves to a more slow-paced life, you'll find that your implicit habits will start to change. You won't quickly need to reach your phone. You won't quickly need that excitement, chaos, or constantly seeking for people to make your life feel happier, because you will understand that your mind and body can feel safe in slowness. You can feel okay in peace, because the thing is, people don't like slowness and peace because the world is so noisy. So really assessing the root using the things I mentioned, I think, are way more beneficial than all these Instagram posts telling you to stop scrolling, or giving you like, there's like some brick that people use, like where you attach it to your phone and like it like shuts off your phone. I think these things are controlling for the symptom, and they're not like bad. I'm not saying that maybe these things don't work, but I think I'm very much a believer in long-term motivation, long-term habits. How do you build that? You build that from the root. It'll never be built from attacking the symptom. I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I hope you got some new information from it. I will see you guys in the next one.